Okay, good morning, everyone. So we haven't really done one of these videos in a while, but because of a certain call that we had yesterday in one of the chats by a man who was complaining about what it really means that a man is, a certain individual compiled a little thing on AI, but it's very valuable for us to listen. So look what it says. First of all, it's called The Crowned Man. Yeah, The Crowned Man. Look what it says. There's a lie that the modern world has sold men. It goes like this. To be devoted husband and an attentive father, you must soften yourself, shrink, become less, apologize for your nature, abandon your ambitions. He says, and stop wanting to lead. He says it's a fake thing that they've, put into our minds. Oh, listen to this. And because no self-respecting man wants to become that, many reject the whole idea, and that's what the young man was screaming the other day on the chat. They harden, they lead with ego, they confuse dominance with strength, and silence with authority. They build empires outside the home, while the king inside crumbles, right? Many of the men, they're very successful outside. Big businesses, they can, deal with many people, different industries, right? At home, what's happening? Destruction of the family. He says this book rejects both paths. What follows is a third way, one that the Torah has taught for thousands of years, and that the greatest philosophers arrived at independently, that the highest expression of masculine power is not domination, but mastery, not control over others, but sovereignty over yourself. You hear? He said, by the way, you gotta listen to this. Oh, you ready? I sent it to you. Okay.
It says AI says?
Huh?
AI says this?
Yeah, listen. But he compiled it from different sources.
I want to know what the AI is saying.
AI is saying, listen to this. He says, the man who can govern himself has no need to govern anyone else by force. His presence alone sets the order. These are big words. You hear what he's saying? When you have self-control, you're able to lead because people see you and they're like, wow, this is a man. This is a leader. Why? Because he's control of his emotions, his actions, his reactions, what we speak about a lot, yeah? He says, this is not a guide about becoming passive. It is not about happy wife, happy life. A saying that reduces a man to a servant of someone else's mood, right? Happy wife, happy life. Meanwhile, he's dying, right? Happy wife, happy life, right? As long as she's happy, I should be happy, correct, right? He says this is about becoming the kind of man whose strength is so deep, so grounded, so self-assured that he can honor his wife without losing an inch of who he is. Here? Because here is the truth that weak men will never understand. Honoring your wife does not diminish you. It reveals what you are made of. Yeah? Many people, what do they say? Oh, you want me to be a map? If I honor my wife, that means what? Now you have to step all over me? He says, no, that's a misconception. Big misconception. He says like this, every man understands physical strength. You lift, you grow, you become hard to break. But the Torah introduces a concept that separates boys from king. He says, Eze hu gibor, haboteach et yitzro, right? Am I saying it right? Because I can't read. Hakovesh et yitzro. He says, who is mighty? He who conquers his own inclination. You hear? He says, notice what the Mishnah does not say. It does not say the mighty one is the one who conquers his enemy. It does not say the mighty one is the one who silences his wife, dominates a room, or wins every argument. It says the mighty man is the one who conquers himself. Right? That's what it says. Kovesh Yisro. This is not weakness dressed in spiritual language. Yeah? This is the most demanding form of strength that exists. Any man can lose his temper. Any man can raise his voice. Any man can slam the door and storm off feeling righteous. That takes no effort, as we all know, right? Anybody can go scream crazy, come out and say, bah, yeah, sure, I'm the man, yeah? That takes no training. That is what an untrained animal does, right? What does an untrained animal do? Bark like crazy, go this, get that. Trained animal, what does he do? Stays right next to his master until he's given orders, correct? Which means He has control of himself, this dog, right? This canine dog who has discipline, correct. It says, but the man who feels the fire rise in his chest, the urge to be right, the instinct to dominate, the ego screaming for validation, and chooses restraint, that man has done something far harder than any physical feat. He has defeated the only opponent that truly matters, himself. You hear what he's saying? He says the person who has the anger inside, he wants to kill right now. He wants to go out, scream, become crazy. He goes, the man who controls himself, now he's a winner, right? Why? Because who really you need to control? Only yourself. Because once you have self-control, you could what? Control the whole situation. You hear? One of the most dangerous things in an emergency situation is panic and go crazy. Why? You will never be able to do what you have to do. You hear? He says, Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, who ruled the most powerful empire on earth, wrote in his private journal, he says like this, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Beautiful. You hear what he says? He says a person has power over his mind, but not outside events. I tell my kids all the time. I said, listen, you'll have problems at work, at school, going shopping, with your wife, anywhere you'll have problems. Where you cannot control those. Why? How can I control what he's going to tell me? I cannot. But I could control my reaction to him. You understand? So that's what he's saying. He's saying, a man who controls his reactions controls the room. A man who controls the room without raising his voice controls the legacy. The Stoics, the philosophers, understood that the Torah codified centuries before them. External power is borrowed. Internal power is permanent. When your wife challenges you, when your children test your patience, when the world seems to conspire against your peace, your response is your throne. Reacting with ego, and you sit on a chair made of sand. Respond with composure, and you sit on bedrock. You hear? What does this mean? Many people that I'm working with right now, I tell them like this. Listen, in married life, you're always going to have some kind of an action. Something is going to happen. I said, do you know what's going to cause peace? Your reaction. And therefore, the way you react to the problem is the key. And that's what he's saying. He says, strength in a home is not the absence of authority. It is the authority exercised with wisdom. Consider the difference. He's giving you differences. He says, the weak man says, because I said so, that's why you have to do it. He has no reason. He has only volume. I said to do it, do it. Yeah? Okay, why? Yeah? The ego-driven man says, I'm the man of the house. He has a title. He's a man, but no substance behind it. Yeah? Listen to me because I'm your father. He says, the crown man says, let me hear your respect. Let me hear your perspective. Yeah? He sits down, okay, let me hear what you have to say. He said, here's my perspective. Yeah? Let's decide together. He has something neither of the others possess, which is security. He secures himself. He knows who he is. You understand? And therefore he will listen to this child who's going crazy, because he came late. That's it. When he comes late, what do you say? What? You came there? Sit down, sit him down, hear him out. What happened? Who? Why? Where? Yeah? He says, security is the root of all true masculine strength. A man who is secure in his identity does not need to prove it. He does not need his wife to agree with him to feel validated. A lot of men, you know what they tell me? I don't feel like I'm a man. Why do you need to feel like you're a man? If you're a man, you don't need to feel like a man. You understand what I'm saying? Because why? Because you're a man. Yeah? He says he does not need to win every dispute to feel intelligent. He does not need silence in the house to feel respected. He says he simply is. And this is a big, function in the marriage. Why? Why you feel this way you do the one with your wife when she talks to you? That means you yourself are not feeling who you are. That you don't have that sense of, he says, and that's unshakable precedence. That calm, grounded certainty is what makes everyone around him feel safe, including his wife, including his children, including himself. And I wrote over here, man needs to make his wife feel safe. Every woman talks about this. She says, I don't feel safe with my husband. Do you know why? Because she doesn't feel she has a man over here. She feels like she's managing him instead of he managing her. You understand? He says, secure, safe and secure. When you criticize her and you mock her and you make fun of her, right? And you make her cry and you make her feel depressed, this is not making a woman feel secure and feeling safe. It's not. He says over here, a woman of valor is the crown of her husband, right? Eshet chayil ateret ba'ala, correct? He says, study the metaphor carefully. A crown does not sit beneath the king. A crown sits above him, right? Imagine a king, and above the king is a crown. It is the most visible symbol of his authority, the object that tells the world who he is. Without a crown, a king is just a man in expensive clothing. The crown completes him. But here is what makes this metaphor even more powerful. A crown does not compete with the king, right? He says it does not diminish him, it elevates him. And the king in turn does not resent the crown sitting higher than he is. He treasures it. He protects it. He ensures it's always honored, because he understands that his honor and hers are the same thing. So interesting, over here it says that Eshet Chayil Ateret Ba'ala, she's the crown of the husband. You hear? The Talmud mandates, he says the Gemara in Yevamot delivers one of the most important instructions a Jewish man will ever receive. He says, מכבדها יותר מגופו, מכבדה יותר מגופו, ואוהבה כגופו. Right? It says, honor her more than yourself, and love her as yourself. Huh? He says, read it again. The sages did not say honor her equally. They said more than your own body. This is not a suggestion. It is a halakhic framework for how a Jewish man relates to his wife. How many of us do this? Yeah? He says you must honor her more than yourself. Now, a man operating from ego reads this and panics. He says, more than myself? I have to honor her more than myself? Yeah? That means I'm beneath her. Yeah? That means I don't matter, right? That's how everybody thinks. But a man operating from strength reads it differently. He reads it as a mission, as a standard, as the Torah telling him, your capacity to honor someone beyond yourself is the measure of your greatness. Here, meaning when you show that you can honor somebody beyond who you are, that shows greatness, right? Because if not, then you're nobody. He says, think about it practically. Who do you respect more? The man who only looks out for himself, or the man who provides, protects, honors others at his own expense? The first man is surviving. The second man is building something eternal. Correct? And what are we doing? In most of our houses, we expect her to do everything for us. And therefore, how can she respect us? You understand? That's why everybody's, when she respects me, I'm going to respect her. He says, no. You're going to respect the person who's respecting you, who's caring for you, who's honoring you, who's doing everything for you. He says, honoring your wife more than yourself does not mean abandoning your own needs. It does not mean saying yes to everything. It does not mean that you have no voice. It means when she speaks, you listen. Yeah? Not while scrolling on your phone. Yeah? It says not while formulating your rebuttal. You're listening to her, but you're thinking, oh, I'm going to answer her. I have something very nice to answer her. You listen like her words carry weight, because they do. Many women are complaining, he does not consider my words as anything. Why? We don't care about her. And even when we quote unquote do, we don't. Why? We're busy looking at the phone. Our head is, she tells you, did you hear what I said? You're like, yeah. What did I say? You're like, you know, what did I just say to you? He says, when she is wrong, you correct her with dignity, not with sarcasm, not with condescension, not with "I told you so." Yeah, many men love that when she does something. "Ya, тебе сказал. What did I tell you when you did? Didn't I tell you that to be like that or whatever? Yeah, didn't I tell you not to park that way? Didn't I tell you don't do it like this?" Yeah, they hate to hear that. A king does not mock his queen. He guides her with patience. You hear? He says, when she's right, you acknowledge it openly. A man who cannot admit his wife was right is not protecting his ego. He's advertising his insecurity. You hear? Meaning, sometimes the women are very right. You hear? He says, no, he said, Mom, you 100% correct. Yeah? He says, when she needs reassurance, you do not roll your eyes. By the way, this is very, very problematic. Many of us get in trouble. You know with what? Right here. This face right here. This face, why? She sees every roll of the eyes. She sees every like this. She sees every like, all that she interprets in her own ways. He says, you understand that her asking for closeness is not weakness, it's trust. She's telling you, you are the person I turn to. That is the highest compliment a man can receive. Meanwhile, what do? Hey, leave me alone. Leave me alone. Stop it already. Yeah. He says, ego, the silent destroyer of kingdoms. Every marriage that falls, every household that fractures, every father who becomes a stranger to his children, if you trace the root cause far enough, you will almost always find the same culprit, unchecked ego. Which means this ego of ours, if we don't look after it and understand that we have to, balance it. Yeah, we need ego to live. You understand? But this ego has to be balanced. Ego tells you that apologizing is losing. Ego tells you that vulnerability is weakness. Ego tells you that admitting fault gives her power over you. Ego tells you that if you yield even once, you will never be respected again. And that's why what? They know they're wrong. 1,000,000% they're wrong. Nope, they're going to prove that they're right. Why? If I fall, she's going to look at me as what? Loser. Ego is a liar. He says, what the Torah says about ego, the Gemara in Sotah delivers a devastating verdict. He says, Kol Adam sheyesh bo gasut haruach, Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, En ani vehu yecholim ladur ba'olam. He says, any person who has arrogance within him, Hashem says, he and I cannot dwell in the same world. And we said that a lot of times, yeah? We said one of the biggest things, most important things we come over here is what? To break the ego, because Hashem hates that. He says, let the land, Hashem himself, the creator of heaven and earth, say he will not share space with a man who has ego. If God himself will not tolerate your pride, what makes you think that your wife should tolerate it? You hear what he say? You hear what he say? Hashem hates it. You want your wife to take it? Yeah? He says, this is not about being a pushover. There is a massive difference between arrogance and confidence. Confidence says, I know who I am, and I do not need to prove it. Arrogance says, I need you to know who I am. Yeah? And I will force you to acknowledge it. And that's most of the men. Yeah? I'm going to show her. I'm going to show who I am. It says confidence builds homes. Arrogance burns them down. Here's a simple test every man can apply. The next time you are in a disagreement with your wife, ask yourself one question. Am I fighting for what is right, or I'm fighting to be right? You hear? There's a big difference. Meaning, am I fighting for what is right, or I'm fighting to be right? Most of us are going to find every single angle to be right, even though we know we're wrong, right? But somehow in the corner, to try to prove that we're right. He says, if you're fighting for what is right, you will remain calm, you will present your case, you will listen to her case, you will seek truth, not victory, right? At the end of the day, we want to know it's right or wrong, right? Because we want to know what the truth is. Oh, the truth is this? Okay, we got it, no problem. If you are fighting to be right, you will feel your heart rate, rise. You will interrupt, yeah? You'll cut her. Oh, no! Before she even finishes, you already, yeah, but yeah? He says, you will raise your voice. I'm sorry, but this is the way I talk. I'm not trying to be right. You will say things designed to wound rather than resolve. And even if you win, quote unquote, you will feel empty because you won a battle and you lost a piece of your marriage. Crazy stuff he's talking about. Yeah? He says the crowned man fights for truth. The ego-driven man fights for dominance. The difference between them is the difference between a king and a tyrant. Yeah? Many times we say, don't be a tyrant, be a king. He says, men understand investment. They understand that you put resources into something today so that it pays dividends tomorrow. They will spend hours researching stocks, business opportunity, a career move. They will calculate risk, weigh the upside and the downside, the optimism for return. And yet, the single highest return on investment a man will ever make is peace at home. Yeah? It's the one that's the most neglected. Here, he says in business, it's true, we speak about it a lot of times, yeah? In business, we're gonna do what? Every single thing to be able to make money. When it comes to the Shalom Bayit, what do? He goes, but that's your single most important investment. He says over here, blessing is found in a man's home only on account of his wife, right? The Gemara is making an investment statement. It is telling every man, your parnasah, your health, your success, your spiritual elevation, all of it flows through the channel of how you treat your woman in the house. Block that channel with ego, with resentment, with neglect, and the blessing stops flowing. Open it with honor, patience, love, and everything in your life begins to align. There is no mysticism. Yeah, there's no Kabbalah over here, he says. There is observable reality. A man who comes home to a peaceful house sleeps better, thinks clearer, makes better decisions, earns more trust from the people around him. A man who comes home with tension, coldness, and unresolved conflict carries the weight into everything he does. And this is very true. If you're pained because you have Shalom Bayit, you're walking like a zombie outside. Yeah? He says the Talmud in Sotah teaches, Ish v'isha zachu shchina benehem. Yeah? It says a man and a woman, if they married, the Shekhinah dwells between them. The Shekhinah, which is the manifestation of Hashem's presence, yeah, chooses to dwell not in the grandest synagogue, not in the highest mountain, but in the space between a husband and a wife, who treat each other with worthiness. Your living room, when filled with mutual respect, becomes holier than any building made of stone. It says that is the return on investment. You're not just building a marriage, you're building a dwelling place for Hashem. It says over here, everything discussed so far about marriage applies with doubled intensity to fatherhood. Listen to this. Because your children do not learn from your words. They learn from your behavior. Every interaction you have with their mother is a lesson you are teaching them about what love looks like. He says, your son is watching you, not listening. He's watching you. He watches how you speak to his mother when you are frustrated. He watches whether you apologize when you are wrong. He watches whether you help without being asked. He watches whether your wife's face lights up or tightens when you walk through the door. Why? Can you imagine that? Huh? Yeah, it's crazy. He says, and from all of this watching, he's building his blueprint for manhood. No. Yeah? He becomes a man or not because of this. If you lead with ego, he will lead with ego. Yeah? If you treat your wife as beneath you, he will treat his women as beneath him. You hear? If you confuse anger with authority, he will become a man who mistakes volume for power. You hear? But if you model strength through restraint, honor through service, and leadership through listening, your son will become the kind of man that other men aspire to be, and the kind of man a woman of valor will choose to build her life with. When your daughters are listening, yeah, your daughter is watching too. He says, and she is learning what she should expect from a man. If you honor your mother, she will refuse to accept anything less from the future partner. And if you dismiss her mother, she will learn to accept dismissal, which is not normal. You hear? Meaning she's going to say, oh, my mother was also like that. She also took all that garbage. So maybe that's what it is. That's what I have to take. Yeah? So imagine if you have a daughter and is taking that. He says, every time you speak to your wife with patience, you're raising your daughter's standards. Every time you lose control, you are lowering them. You are, in a real sense, choosing your daughter's future husband right now by the example you are setting. He says, Abraham example, right? Whatever Sarah tells you, you listen to her voice, right? We said, Hashem said. He says, this is not a human suggestion. This is Hashem speaking directly to Avraham Avinu, the father of our nation, the man who passed 10 impossible tests of faith, and telling him, listen to your wife. She sees what you cannot see. Her wisdom is a gift from heaven. Trust it. Abraham was not weakened by this instruction. He was elevated by it. The greatest patriarch in human history built his legacy not by overruling his wife, but by honoring her insights. If it was good enough for Abraham, it should be good enough for us as well. This is beautiful. Look what he says over here. Philosophy without practice is entertainment. The concepts in this book mean nothing if they do not change how you behave on an ordinary Tuesday evening when you are tired, stressed, and your wife asks you to do something and you do not feel like doing it, right? This is, by the way, the main test of people. Why? They think, do you know when you have to be a nice husband? When everything is going smooth, everything was nice at work, and you come home, you're not tired, you're not stressed, and your wife tells you something, and you're okay. No. He says, when you come home on a Tuesday, and you're stressed, and everything is going wrong, and your wife tells you something, and you want to burst, right? He said, shh. That's when you have to come down. He says, below are the daily disciplines. They are not optional. They are the difference between a man who reads about strength and a man who lives it. Discipline number 1, the morning intention. He says, before you leave the house, or before you open your laptop, if you work from home, set one intention for how you will show up as a husband today. Not a vague intention, like be better, but specific one. Yeah, he says every day you got to say, okay, I'm going to be a better husband today. But how? Today, I will not check my phone when she's speaking to me. Today, I will compliment her on something specific before the afternoon, right? Like we write the thing. We say, hey, give her a little thing. Hi, good morning, how's everything? Today, I will ask her how her day was and actually listen to her answer. Yeah, these simple things, if we don't do them, they feel neglected. And imagine every day we come from work to do more work at home. Yeah, he says one intention every morning. This single habit will transform your marriage in a matter of days, and bamash it will. You know, some of the guys who, whatever, we're trying to help, right? I tell them, listen, text your wife this, say to her that, say to her this. Immediately, what they say, wow, why did my husband all of a sudden change? What'd you tell him? You tell him what he has to regularly do, yeah? Discipline number 2, 5-minute return. He says, the first 5 minutes after you come home, or after she comes home, set the tone for the entire evening. He says, most men walk in, drop their things, and immediately disappear into their phone and the news or their own thoughts. This message sends her what? Everything else matters more than you. Yeah? Because that's what we are, correct? He says, the crowned man walks in and gives his wife the first 5 minutes of the time that he came, undivided. He says, looking into her eyes, physical closeness, a genuine question about her day. How was your day, my love? You know, and listen to her. Huh? Jigarjon, he said, Jigarjon, how was your day? He says, no phone, no television, no distraction, 5 minutes. It costs you almost nothing and pays back everything. And this is mamash, it's true. And you know what? It's so hard to do. Why? Because the stomach is hungry. You want to go home, what's for dinner, right? And you want to just dig into the dinner. And afterwards, so how you doing? If you do that, he says, no. Scrap all that. 5 minutes, tell him, Motek, how are you? Wow, you look so beautiful today. I miss you. Discipline number 3, public honor. He says, how a man speaks about his wife in public reveals his true character. Many men, even decent ones, fall into the trap of making jokes at their wife's expense in social settings. He says, small comments, eye rolls, yeah? She's always on my case, yeah? This is very common, right? We were in a wedding, and something else, yeah, you know, these little things, no good. Happy wife, happy life, yeah? These are all no good. He says, there is a corrosion disguised as humor. And many men, many women hate this. In fact, not probably all of them. Don't make fun of me. Every joke at her expense chips away at her dignity and at your own. The crowned man speaks about his wife in public the way he would speak about his most valued partner, because that's exactly what she is. Yeah? Praise her in front of others. Acknowledge her contributions. Speak about her with admiration, not because she's listening, but because this is who you are. You understand? Discipline number 4. He says, you will fall, you will fail. They'll for sure you'll be failed. You will lose your temper. You will say something unkind. You will forget something important. Yeah? You will fall short of the standard described in this book. That's for sure. That's guaranteed. Yeah, we're not perfect. He says, what separates the crowned man from every other man is not perfection. It's repair. And I was just telling the rabbi that, you know, some guys, they make a mistake, and like that they stay 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 1 week, 2 weeks. Yeah? Huh? They don't repair. He says, when you fail, go back. You name what you did. You do not make excuses. You tell her, you know what, Motek? I'm really sorry that I said that about you. Because this guy, I told him, you said that to her? Yes. But you know that's wrong. I know that's wrong. So why don't you go apologize? I don't want to. Because why? He says, the minute I apologize, she feels like but I said, but you said it wrong. But you said what you said wrong, no? Yes. But this gives her a whatchamacallit. Why? Not that it gives it to her. He in his mind sees that the apology is a lowly thing. It makes me weak. He says, you do not say I'm sorry. Yeah? But he says, don't say, I'm sorry, but I did it because... He says, no. There is no buts. He says, you say, I was wrong. I spoke to you in a way that does not reflect who I want to be. I'll do better. When she hears that, it's not you. You're not low. She's thinking, wow, my husband said that? You understand? She puts you now on a pedestal. Why? He said that to me. And for years, women want to hear this apology and they never hear it. Yeah? For years. And they still, you're thinking, that's already old news. What's the big deal? No. Very important. And then you actually do better. The apology without changed behavior is manipulation. Many men, unfortunately, they're very abusive. Why? Yes. They batter her with words, but they're very good in apology. You understand? But then what do? Again, the same thing. So this poor woman, she becomes like a roller coaster, and that's manipulation. It says the apology with changed behavior is teshuvah, return. It is one of the most powerful forces in the universe, and it is available to you every single day. Discipline number 5, weekly investment. He says once a week, do something that requires effort exclusively for her benefit. Yeah, this is very important, by the way. It says not a gift you ordered 30 seconds online. They hate that. Yeah, boom. It says no, on your phone. Something that costs you time, thought, energy. Cook a meal that she loves. Write her a note, a real one, on paper. Take something off her plate without being asked. Meaning, do something that she would have done. Do it and... He says, plan an evening around what she enjoys, not what you enjoy. And by the way, some people, every week they go out. And she hates it. You know why? No, she wants to go out. But he tells her, you choose and we'll be there. She goes, I want him to choose. I want him to be, I want him to get the babysitter. I want him to this. You know what? They want to feel like, he's doing something. Yeah. What are we, man? Yeah, no problem. Did I date night? Yeah. Choose the restaurant. We'll go. But what about you? You hear? I know it's Spasiba skazi that I'm taking you out. Say thank you that I'm taking you out. Every week we go out. But that's not important for them. You better take her to a nice park that, it's hard to get to, that she never saw before, and it's beautiful over there. And you tell her, I was thinking about, and not spend $1, just the car ride. Over there, she'd be like, wow, he thought about me. Meanwhile, she could order, the most expensive restaurant. You come, pay $500, garbage. She's thinking, no, I did it. He didn't take me out. I took him out, even though he paid for it. Yeah? He says, this is not servitude. This is strategic investment in the most important relationship of your wife. A man who invests weekly in his marriage will never be surprised by its collapse. You hear? Many men living, thinking everything is fine. And then all of a sudden, 20 years later, what happens? Kids get married, everything's so, I want a divorce. Bibi? Oh, what happened? Why? What did I do? Yeah? It's like, what you do? What did you not do? It says over here, here's the question that separates a man who merely exists from a man who builds something lasting. It says, what will my grandchildren say about the home I created? Not your net worth, not your job title, not your car, not your watch, not your social media following, your home. The atmosphere of your house, the way your wife remembers you, the way your children describe growing up under the roof. He says the Torah does not measure a man by his accumulation, right? How much millions we have. It measures him by his transmission. What did you pass on? What values did you embed so deeply in your children that you will carry them forward without you? Meaning that they will carry forward without you. Abraham's greatness was not his wealth. Yeah, he was wealthy, but that it is not why he was remembered. His greatness was that he established a household rooted in chesed, in justice, in devotion to God. That it produced Yitzchak, who produced Yaakov, who produced the 12 tribes. That legacy, that is what it means to build something that outlasts you. And the foundation of that household, the relationship between Abraham and Sarah, the mutual respect, the shared mission, the willingness to listen to each other, and to God. Everything else, the wealth, land, covenant, that grew from that root. Meaning they built a house together. And through that togetherness, that was by the way. Every time you choose...
We have it, all of us.
Absolutely. Every time you choose patience over anger, you're adding a brick to the legacy. Every time you honor your wife in front of your children, you are teaching them what marriage is. Every time you lower your ego and elevate your home, you are doing something that will echo for generations that you will never meet. It says you are not just a husband, you're not just a father, you are the architect of a dynasty. And the blueprint you draw today in the quiet, unglamorous moments of daily life determines what dynasty you have. You hear? And so over here it says, finally, it says, this is not a set of rules. It's a code, a standard you hold yourself to, not because anyone is watching, but because you know what kind of man you were built to be. It says, I will lead my home with strength and with wisdom, never choosing one at the expense of other. Yeah? I will honor my wife as my crown, knowing that elevating her elevates me. Yeah? Remember the crown of the king. I will master my ego before it masters my household. Yeah? Meaning watch your ego. Don't let the ego... I will speak to my wife in private the way I would want the world to see me, and speak to her in public with the honor that she deserves. Because a lot of times outside we're very nice, and at home, the most terrible guy speaking to her. Yeah? Everybody knows us outside as a very good guy. Oh, I know Avram John. He's very good, yeah? But behind the closed doors, what happens? I will apologize without excuses. I will correct without cruelty. I will listen without an agenda. I will teach my sons what strength looks like by living it. I will teach my daughters what they deserve by demonstrating it. I will build a home where the Shekhinah dwells, not through perfection, but through daily, deliberate devotion. And I will remember that I'm not just building a life, I'm building a legacy. Baruch Adonai Olam. Amen v'amen.